Good evening, Somers, and welcome to our Thursday, August 5th Town Board meeting, our work session and regular session combined. If you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and be seated.
Yes. I did. I should have moved it.
Patty, roll call.
Councilman William G. Faulkner.
Here.
Councilman Richard G. Clinchy.
Present.
Councilman Anthony J. Sirico.
Here.
Councilman Thomas A. Garrity Jr.
Here.
Supervisor Rick Morrissey.
Present. Okay, our first order of business tonight is to conduct two public hearings. The first one on the consolidation of our water districts. And I'd like to ask our Water Superintendent, Adam Smith, if you would come up and, just for the public's information, kind of tee this up for us.
Okay, is my mic on?
It is.
Yeah, it
All
is.
right. So the town has three water systems.
Here you go.
The Amwalk Heights Water District has about 100 service connections. Then we have Windsor Farms Water District, which has 34 service connections, 34 homes. And then there's the Amwalk Shenorock Water District with about 1,100 accounts. In the year 2000, we put in a transmission main from Mahopac Avenue and Route 35 up into the Shenorock area. And over the past 2 years, we've been working on connecting that portion of Shenorock, the Amwalk Shenorock, to the Windsor Farm Water District. And that would create a loop in our system and make all the systems contiguous with one another. So we can feed water from both ways now. All the water systems are connected by a main. So now we're moving forward, we're going to consolidate all those systems. Instead of treating each system individually, we'll be able to have one larger system that will cut down a lot of financial paperwork, that'll cut down a lot of our health department requirements for sampling. Right now we're doing triple sampling for everything. So there will be cost savings in the maintenance and in the finance department. That's basically it.
Okay, so really no change to the delivery end of
No.
water to customers.
No, just more reliable source. You know, you can, instead of having one large water main with all these people on top here with like a lollipop, now you can feed it from the other way if something ever happened to your transmission main.
That's the loop you're talking
That's
about.
the loop.
So,
Well, frankly, that's
Adams
the
loop.
famous Adams loop.
oh, excuse me.
He's been
Well-
planning this for years.
I've been pushing for it for years.
And so when someone asked me, and I said, well, it's going to be more reliable because if one goes out, you have
Right,
the others
if you ever
that
had a
feed
problem on your transmission main from Mahopac Avenue, you would basically have hours worth of water left.
Right.
But now we can send water from Route 6 over by Windsor Road into the Route 6 area, Shenorock area,
Right.
and feed everyone from that as well.
It's pretty much a no-brainer.
Yeah,
Hmm?
it is.
That's that, no brainer.
Yeah, it is.
All right, well, so with that understanding and information that goes out to the public, I'll make a motion to open the public hearing on consolidating of water districts.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Publishing and posting. Patty?
That was published in the Somers Record on July 22nd and posted on the Town Clerk's Bulletin Board.
Thank you.
And just for the record, for those who don't know, and he sat down already, that was Adam Smith, our water superintendent, does a phenomenal job with all of our districts. So thank you, just for those who may not know who that was.
So,
Right.
just quickly, Adam, will there be billing cycle changes? Everybody getting billed at the same thing?
Everything went to the same, rates should stay the same.
Right,
Okay.
One larger panel.
okay, good.
Okay, any other questions from town board members regarding?
I think the
The
no-brainer
consolidation.
covered it.
Yeah.
Well,
Just
it is public
gratitude.
comment, so we're going to open it up to public comment. If there's anyone here that wants to make a comment on the consolidation of the water districts. Okay, seeing and hearing no one, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Good.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
So moved. Roland, do we do a roll call vote on, or the formation, resolution?
Yes.
Okay.
First, just do a neg deck.
Okay, I make a motion to declare negative declaration under the seeker regulations.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. And also make a motion to put the approval of the consolidation of the water districts into a resolution.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Councilman William G. Faulkner.
Aye.
Councilman Richard G. Clinton.
Aye.
Councilman Anthony J. Sirico.
Aye.
Councilman Thomas A. Garrity Jr.
Yes.
Supervisor Rick Morrissey.
Aye. Okay, thank you. And thank you, Adam. I know this is the culmination of many years of your design to get that loop created.
Well, with a lot of people involved, what does this mean?
Right, well, it's,
There's
You
a
led
lot
the
of you.
charge. You led the charge.
yeah,
there's a lot
whenever
of
we
you.
reference this project, it's always known as Adam's Loop. So it'll always be known as that.
There you go.
Thank you, Adam.
Okay, our next public hearing, I will be recusing myself from. Deputy Supervisor, if you would do the honors.
I will. Second public hearing is proposed revisions to Town of Somers Comprehensive Plan Update adopted February 11th, 2016, with regard to the creation of a new MFR 100 zoning district in the Town of Somers. Publishing postings?
That was published in the Somers Record on July 22nd and posted on the Town Clerk's Bulletin Board.
Okay. It's appropriate now to open a second public hearing on this, if I looked up the procedures correctly?
This is the second public hearing on the comprehensive plan.
Has it
The
been
other
open?
public hearing was closed, so this
Yeah.
one you're opening.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Right.
Okay, second. He's
I make a
open.
motion, we open the public hearing.
Second.
So,
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did we want to get a little background on it first, please?
Good evening. For the record, David Smith, Principal with Planning and Development Advisors, Planning Consultant to the Town of Somers. So the second public hearing that you're having tonight is on the amendment to the comprehensive plan. This is a requirement under New York State town law, and it's a little bit of a quirk as to why we're having this, but I just wanted to read for the record the requirement. So in the event the town board prepares a proposed town comprehensive plan or amendment thereto, the town board shall hold one or more public hearings and such other meetings as it deems necessary to assure full opportunity for citizen participation in the preparation of such proposed plan or amendment. And, in addition, the town board shall hold one or more public hearings prior to the adoption of such proposed plan or amendment. So as you recall, in May 13th this year, you had a public hearing, your first public hearing on the proposed amendment to the comprehensive plan and a public hearing on the proposed zoning amendment. And the reason that you're having the public hearing on the comprehensive plan amendment is under New York State town law, your zoning needs to be in conformance with your comprehensive plan. So that's why we're amending both the comprehensive plan and you're incorporating proposed zoning text and map amendments. So you have before you a negative declaration, which includes the Part 2 EAF, which we discussed at your June meeting. and we discussed it in detail. Since then, we have provided the town board with the EAF Part 3, which goes through and identifies where there may have been a small or moderate impact, how that impact has been mitigated as part of the environmental review process. I think it's safe to say that there are no significant adverse impacts as a result of the proposed action, so that what you have before you is a negative declaration. You also have a resolution before you that would declare the negative declaration, that would accomplish the comprehensive plan amendment, and would also provide for amendment to the zoning code and mapping the site in the specific site in general, which is off of Route 100. And after your process has been concluded, there's still a process that the applicant needs to go through with the planning board, going through a specific site plan review. So I'd be happy to answer any of the questions you have.
Is that our planning board, or the county planning?
No, our
What's-
planning board.
There will be a referral, there was a referral of this rezoning application to Westchester County. They provided comments. There will be a subsequent referral as part of the site plan review, so they'll have another opportunity to weigh in as part of that process.
But our planning board will just go through their normal process and review it
Absolutely.
all along? Sure.
Yes.
Like just normal?
Mhm. That's correct.
Does the county have any authority over this at all?
The county health department has approval authority over utilities,
Right.
water and sewer.
Is there anything open with them or no?
Not to my knowledge.
I think they're probably waiting to get it.
Yeah. They need to get a formal submission with a site plan application in order for them to have any formal response back to the town.
They need to get through the basics first.
I just wonder if I may just ask a question I've asked several other times of the applicant, whether or not there's been any other public feedback that has led to you to change your plan or the design in any way. I know we've discussed this a couple of times, but I just want to keep checking.
Thank you.
Good evening, Linda Whitehead from McCullough, Goldberger and Stout, representing the applicant. We have discussed it several times, although never in person. As you know, there was some comments made at your public hearings. Your board had requested some changes. My client has been in touch with many of the neighbors, including even before coming to you.
Yes, we know.
And so we believe that our plan has addressed the concerns of the neighborhood. There will be another public hearing before the planning board, and the neighbors will again have an opportunity on a more detailed site plan review as well.
But none has come to you between the last time
No.
we discussed this and now?
No.
Okay, good.
And we will find out right now if there's any public comment here about this.
And is there any
proposed
public here,
plan.
actually?
Yes, you're in a public hearing.
Yep. So I see no public to speak. Seeing as this is our second public hearing, I would make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
I would further make a motion that we accept the neg deck.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And what's my next step, Roland?
Well, now you can consider the.
Oh, the
actions.
resolution?
Yeah.
So has everybody had it?
David, the neg deck was on everything, not just the comprehensive plan amendment. It was on the entire.
Yes,
review.
on
Yeah.
everything, yes,
So you're free to
including the site plan.
consider
Okay.
the action.
I hear.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So has everybody had an opportunity to review the resolution?
Yep.
And do you have any questions?
I'm here.
Nope.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept resolution of the town board, secret negative declaration, comprehensive plan update amendment for the multifamily residence Route 100, MFR 100, zoning district adoption and zoning map amendment.
Second?
Roll call? Or
Could be a roll call.
roll call?
Councilman William G. Faulkner.
Aye.
Councilman Richard G. Clinton.
Aye.
Councilman Anthony J. Sirico.
Aye.
Councilman Thomas A. Garrity Jr.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We look forward to working with the planning board. And I know all about Adams Loop. I know very well.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You've been involved as long as he has, I think.
I have. Adam and I were young when we started.
You're still young.
Thank you
Hey, I
very
started
much.
with you 20-some years ago, so we're still young.
And I was here long before that. And, oh, by the way, Mary Beth sends her regards to everyone.
All right.
Right back at her. Thank you.
Mr. Supervisor, I pass it back to you.
Thank you. Job well done. Okay, our next item on the agenda is public comment. The line for public comments starts on the left. You're right.
3-minute limit though, right?
Yes, 3-minute limit. So I'll make a motion to open public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Is there anyone here for public comment? Public comment is an opportunity for anyone in the community to raise any concerns, issues, bring to the town board's attention that is not currently on the agenda. If it's on the agenda, you can comment when we get to it, but public comment is open for any other town business. Okay, seeing or hearing anyone for public comment, I'll make a motion to close public comment.
Second.
Second.
So moved. Okay, before we move along to department reports, I would just like to read a letter I received this week addressed to me from the Town Clerks Association. And it reads, Dear Supervisor, I am pleased to advise you that Town Clerk Patricia Calva has been voted by her peers as a district director for the New York State Town Clerks Association. This is a distinction, an admirable honor bestowed upon only a few clerks of the 933 towns throughout New York State. In this leadership position, Patty will mentor clerks and be a liaison between the counties of Dutchess, Orange, Putnam, Rockland, Sullivan, Ulster, and Westchester, and State Association District Number 2, which she will represent, will be well served by her experience. Patty's term will run from July 1, 2021 to June 30th, 2024. Please join us with me in congratulating Patty for reaching a milestone in her career.
I will explain that I have been a district director for the last 3 years, and due to COVID, they just reinstated us.
Still, it's a great thing.
Still,
Does not diminish the honor in the least.
the words are all true.
Make sure Carol hears about that when she comes
There
back.
you go.
No, thank you.
All right, so we're
Are
gonna,
you blushing?
A little bit.
now we're gonna put you to work. Department reports, Patty?
So I have reports from the town clerk, building inspector, zoning board of appeals, plumbing, bureau of fire prevention, parks and recreation, planning and engineering, tax receiver, and director of finance. I also have liquor licenses to announce. So we have a new application from AEE LLC 3, doing business as Prime Pub, which is located at 13 Heritage Hills Drive,
Old Imperial Lock.
former Imperial Lock.
Ah,
So they're getting ready to open.
What's it called?
Prime Pub. Then we have a renewal.
Steak restaurant.
A renewal for Rudy's Restaurant, Inc., doing business as Oscar 2, which is 325 Route 100, which is in the shopping center.
Rudy's is doing it as Oscar.
Rudy's is the business name, doing business as
Oh,
Oscar.
okay.
And then,
they don't currently have a liquor license, or this is
no, it's a renewal.
Renewal.
renewal?
And the next renewal I have is Esperata LLC, doing business as DeChico's and Sons, 266 Route 202.
Okay, thank you, Patty. Okay, as of last board meeting, I thought we would do away with COVID updates. But as soon as I had that
Hoping
thought,
anyway.
we had a resurgence in the name of the Delta variant, which seems to be rushing through our communities throughout the United States. So just to give you a snapshot, in Westchester County yesterday, they had 184 new cases, and there are 1,572 active cases throughout the county. About a month ago, that number was close to 200. Now it's back up to 1,500. Somers, we had actually been down to 0 new cases and 2 to 3 active in the community in the beginning of July. We now, as of today, we had 2 new active cases, and we are up to 19 in the community. So, once again, I began this Monday. We took measures to reinstitute mandatory masks when you come into our public buildings. That applies to all the public that comes in. Employees who are vaccinated do not have to wear masks once they get to their workstation. It's recommended that when they do deal with the public one-on-one, that they wear face masks. We'll continue doing this until, this variant goes through the population and our numbers keep coming down again. Basically, we're mirroring mostly what the county has done. The county has reestablished mandatory mask mandate for county facilities. Unvaccinated persons must wear masks at all times, while vaccinated persons are allowed to unmask in their workspace. At all county beaches and county pools, masks are required when patrons go to concession stands, locker rooms, bathrooms, and other locations, regardless of vaccine status. Masking policies for playland are still being determined. So it's just nothing we haven't done before. It's recommended when you go into a public space, even if you're vaccinated. You go to Costco, you go to a grocery store, it's recommended you put a mask on. Okay, that will do it for the update.
Let me just add to that. The governor today put out as someone said to me before, he's got a lot of other things to think about, probably. But that it leaves up to school districts and local governments to make those decisions, which in some way you can say, well, it depends upon your local circumstances, and one part of the state may not be the same as another part of the state. However, the other argument is you're going to have a lot of different rules and regulations and some chaos, and nobody likes chaos. So we'll see how this works. Hopefully, as the supervisor said, the numbers, which some have projected to be going down in a month or two, and others saying projected going up. So we'll have to see. But we're back in a difficult situation. Like you say, better off being safe than anything else. So.
Right.
Mask up.
That's really has been our approach during this pandemic. Our charge as town board members is to provide public safety, and specifically to town employees. We formed, a committee, emergency management committee, to deal with issues during the pandemic, and we've come up with a number of regulations. We were taking temperatures and hand sanitizers. We were able to do away with that, but like I said, effective Monday, we're going back to masks to be worn, vaccinated or not, if you're the public coming into a public building.
Do we have, for employees, do we have any ability to provide testing for those particularly who are not vaccinated, or that's beyond our purview?
Yeah, they have medical coverage that they would use to do that.
So they
could go next door here to get a free COVID test.
Oh, they're still open over there?
They're still, yeah.
I think their business is going to pick up.
Yeah, I did notice a couple of cars there today. So yeah, they can go over there and get COVID tested. I would say the bulk of town employees are vaccinated. Those who aren't, you see employees walking around the townhouse with a mask on. Just the way it is. So,
and Rick, just as a reminder to everybody in town, the actions that we've taken within the town have resulted in 0 cases of COVID being contracted by town employees. We might have had some people with COVID, but it wasn't from being in the townhouse and being exposed. So the actions we started taking, I guess, over a year ago, have worked very well to keep our employees safe. And as the supervisor mentioned, that is one of the key things we're trying to do when we put these regulations in place.
Right. Good news.
Okay, so last week, we had the privilege of County Executive George Latimer come and address us on county issues. This evening, we have our very own County Legislator Kitley Koval with us, who represents a sliver of Somers, but nonetheless, she's been a very active legislator with myself, going through different environmental issues over the years, and which is much appreciated. So Kitley, take it away.
Thank you. My mask has sharks on it. So somebody started singing around me, Baby Shark. I'll take it. Didn't Nationals win?
Yeah.
Anyway, I didn't realize that George was here, so he may have given you a lot of updates. So I'll just kind of stick to what the Board of Legislators has done.
If you want to just speak into the mic, Kitley.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's too high for me.
Lower. There you go.
Okay. So Playland, I'm sure he spoke about that. That was an airplane that took off, had quite a bit of turbulence. We worked through it, and it's now landed again. But the county in particular is making huge investments in Playland. And in addition, obviously, there will be a management that's a private agreement now that was thrown up and came back down. So we're good there.
Kelly, how's the attendance been? Do you know?
I think it's been very high, as a matter of fact. Yeah. And actually, I'm sure the CE said that he is offering for people who get vaccinated to have a free pass at Playland for their families. So that's a little incentive.
Yeah.
And as the supervisor said, there's been a whole bunch of different things. One of the cities is now requiring everyone to get vaccinated or tested weekly, and the testing weekly is on them.
Yeah.
They're not providing it. I know you heard that on the call too. So it's an interesting, as you said, it's going to be a hodgepodge, but that's okay. We just keep pushing. We keep hoping that there's vaccine hesitant as opposed to vaccine resistant. That's our hope.
Right.
We'll see. Anyway, as just was hot off the presses, the housing case that caused Westchester so much angst was settled. I'm sure George did mention that. 12 years in the making, and 750 and plus affordable housing units. Somers has some of them as well, so that's a win.
Most of them.
Not only some of them, we provided 22% of that 750.
Is that right?
Yeah.
22%. Wow. Well,
That didn't include a 75-unit one
That
that was done before.
Right, we didn't
So
get
I
credit
take
for
account.
Muse one. Yeah, I had.
There's still
goes
a few more,
unpunished,
right?
what?
Still a few more to
Yeah,
come.
there's more.
Up there when Ken Carney's things, it's not done yet, right?
8
I
more.
think 16.
16, yeah, up at
16
top,
of
top
them,
and
yeah.
bottom.
Well, and tonight's applicant,
Right.
in that proposal, there'll be a unit.
3, I think.
yeah,
So-
it's
I think
great.
3.
Well, my son makes $43,000 a year. One day, maybe he could actually live in Westchester. That would be nice.
Come on up.
Yeah, right? So not that it's so applicable in Westchester, but we did put in co-op legislation where if you have been denied, the board has to give a reason. And generally, the reason is financial, but when we had first put this in place, we didn't require a reason. We just wanted to know the denials. We had every board member come to us, or many, I shouldn't say every, but many boards, presidents or whatever came to us, said, we never have any. Well, we had almost 600 in about 2 years. So there's plenty of denials that go on. And we had lots of testimony from folks who had been denied who would be in what we call a protected class. So we'll see now what happens. It's unlikely that people will say, well, we discriminated because you don't look like us. I don't think we're going to get somebody to write that. But if they say financial, and yet the financials were absolutely on point, then there's going to be some more investigation. The Human Rights Commission will do that.
Now, these denials, all those applications go through the county.
No, they don't go through the
Process.
county. What was happening, what we did do when I first, the first term I was in, we enacted a law that said that please fill out this form co-op board if you have denied someone their application. You didn't have to say why. And because we saw so many, but the Human Rights Commission said, well, what are we supposed to do with these? We don't know why they did them, and we can't follow up on them if we don't know why. We now put in that they have to say why, but we also ask that they state that financial requirements up front. And I think that helps actually applicants and boards, because sometimes, I mean, obviously your financial requirements are going to be way bigger if you're buying the penthouse than if you're buying the basement floor. But at least there's some idea of what's expected when you're looking to go purchase. And I know, again, I hate to bring it personal, but my daughter went to buy a co-op in New York City, and she said, "Why is this available?" And the realtor said, "Well, because the people that were going to buy it, it fell through because they were Korean, and we didn't really know where the money was coming from." So that exists. That still exists, and it was rather frank of the realtor to say that. In any event, that went into effect August 1st, so we'll see how that works, and there's a lot of forms on the Human Rights Commission website about what, model forms that you could use, and model forms about speaking about the financial requirements, et cetera.
Kelly, can I ask you a question about that? How many co-ops are there? Or
A lot.
I mean, I don't actually know them in condos, houses, but
yeah, well,
co-ops.
that's why I said it's not as relevant for Somers. There's some in Mount Kisco, but if you've ever been in Scarsdale along Garth Road,
Oh, those are co-ops.
those are
yeah.
all co-ops.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, and so and that's a lot of housing. And there is, we learned more than we ever thought we'd know about co-ops, but there is that is considered the entry-level housing for many, many folks.
Oh.
So, maybe a young couple or a young couple with a child, that eventually maybe they will sell that and move to a house, but it is sort of a lower bracket usually.
So this is county legislation.
County legislation through the
That-
Human Rights
and
Commission.
there's a compliance requirement.
Correct.
You have to fill out this document.
Yes, exactly right.
Got it.
Yep. We also put in place an anti-discrimination, which sounds very weird. Wouldn't we already have that? But we didn't. When it came to things like, and I have to read it because I will otherwise misstate it, but it shall be unlawful discriminatory practice for a person to by force or threat of force knowingly injure, intimidate, interfere with, or threaten another person in the free exercise and enjoyment of any right or privilege of the Constitution, if motivated in whole or part by the actual or perceived group identity of the other person, or because of such person's actual or perceived status as a victim of domestic violence, sex abuse, or stalking. So I know what this was getting at was what we had heard about with a lot of Asian American issues. So we had to be very careful that we don't infringe upon your right to express yourself, but that also you are not being motivated by something that would be considered discrimination. So it's a little of a bit of a balance. We had a lot of lawyers, Roland, you can appreciate that, making sure that we didn't, trample on the constitutional rights we all have. But so that's another thing that we
So
did.
what's the context of that? If you feel infringed upon, you file a complaint?
Yes, and
And they
actually,
do so,
that's correct.
that would be,
And that
Helpful
will
to
also
explain that.
be investigated by the Human Rights Commission.
but the complaint would be filed at the county.
Correct.
What office?
Human Rights.
Human Rights.
Yep. And there are also forms for that as well. And this is, I really question this, but awarding a civil penalty in the amount of not to exceed $125,000 to be paid to the County of Westchester by a respondent found to have committed an unlawful discriminatory practice. I kind of would not. I can't imagine that would ever occur, but it's pretty onerous. So let's not do that. We also, there's a solid waste licensing that everybody must get. We amended that law now to also include food scrapping, because food scrapping is sort of the cutting edge now of what we're going to see in the refuse area, and you have to get a license now in order to do that. It's not super interesting unless you have a client who needs to get a license and doesn't know that, but it's important. So we also have put investments into, and you'll start to see them at Muscoot, doing some fencing, finally, pasture fencing for a lot of the animals. Some of the, I don't know, I know we'd all love to see them do something with that parking lot, but they can't really do anything with it because it's partially on New York State land, and also it's, they can't do anything that would be impervious like an asphalt. So they just keep filling in those potholes and hoping it doesn't rain too badly.
I was there this past weekend, and they need to fill them in some more.
Yes, they constantly do it, but it's a mess. That parking lot is a mess. But they are fixing the drainage where, you know, if you go down by the pigs.
I saw them doing that.
Yes, yes. So there's good investments there, which
Well,
is
it's
long overdue.
It's interesting. May want to check with the DEP if they would recognize or approve our parking lot out here is a pervious surface. So rainwater actually goes through it.
Right. Well, it's worth the conversation, that's for sure, because that thing is a mess. And you know, as you know, we get like 150,000 people going to
Yeah.
Muscoot every year. I mean, their answer could be, well, park across the street, which we all know we do have to do on like pumpkin picking weekend or whatever. But you
Right.
know,
No,
but it's worth the ask, that's for sure.
no,
And I know it has been asked, but there's nothing like asking again.
It's
Maybe get
a
different
real
answer.
gem in our community,
It is.
and you know, any upkeep or to improve it is welcomed.
Yeah, and I think on task for next year will be a design of the house, the main house, which would be nice to reclaim that. Also, not that it's in Somers, but Mirstead is also getting a facelift. We just approved the design for the farmhouse, which dates to the Civil War, so that's good.
Where is that?
The farmhouse on Mirstead, no one knows this park.
I don't know this part.
What town?
A little bit of Mount Kisco and a little bit of Bedford. We have 5 parks in District 2. Mirstead is one of them.
Is that the one along 684?
No, it's off Sorrel Street
Oh, yeah, okay.
and Byram Lake Road.
Know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yes.
I passed it.
Yes, it's really, I highly recommend going up there if you're sick of all the other parks, because it's amazing. It's this giant 27-room mansion that we're now re-enveloping to make that look beautiful. It's a wonderful walk. It's one of the only places in the county that has meadows still, real meadows.
What's the name of it?
Mirstead, Merestead. And there's that farmhouse is right hard by the road, and that's really fallen apart, and that's a shame. So we just approved Monday the bond design for that, but they've also done major improvements to the big house there. It's a very interesting place, actually.
Well, you know, one of the great things in Westchester, I think, is the parks.
Yes.
There's so many, and we're so lucky to have them. And you got Rockefeller, which is a state park, but then all these local ones. I think the parks down there, I think they could advertise it better to people. Because we all lived here our whole lives. Never heard of that one. Probably there's others I've never heard of, too.
Nobody
But I
ever
love
heard of
going
it,
to the
though.
park.
Yeah.
So I think they could somehow increase public
I'll
awareness.
tell them that.
You please do. You please do.
But I will say, Pound Ridge Reservation is almost overused these days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they've had to close out off parking.
Yeah, I used to live on that reservation.
Yeah, it's that is a beautiful park. We also created Office of Legal Counsel, which is what legal aid was doing for felony defendants, but the state found that there was a conflict because they were also paying 18B lawyers. So the state came in and said, you're going to have to rethink this model, as they've done with other municipalities as well. It's not just Westchester County. So we just enacted an Office of Legal Counsel that will we had to do it by April 2023. So they're going to start to put together a team. It's going to have a board. It's an independent, like the Human Rights Commission, just going to be a very independent division of Westchester County. And it's probably going to be funded what they fund 18B now, which is about $15 million. So it's a big one. That was a big one. We also did a new ethics code. I'm on the ethics board, so we worked on that for 3.5 years. That will be on the ballot in November because it changes the power of the county executive to appoint 7 members. It was required. If you're taking any power away from the county executive, you have to put it on the ballot. So you'll see that on the ballot. And I don't know who's going to vote against better ethics, but, you know, maybe we'll get some no's. I don't know. Hopefully it'll pass. And, you know, there are a couple other we increased the veterans exemption, which I'm sure you heard about because that affects everybody's taxes. We tried to hold firm on some of these Uber and, not Uber, what are those ones? Yeah, Uber Eats.
Lyft.
All those
Lyft?
that, no, the when they were delivering restaurants,
Uber
from
Eats.
restaurants.
Oh,
They were
yeah.
really messing with the restaurant. Grubhub, yep, and, yeah, so we did limit that. They could only get a certain percentage as opposed to doing whatever they wanted. So that's kind of an overview of what we've done.
Awesome.
Wow,
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
busy.
So it has been busy, actually. I think people were kind of ready to come out of the gate once COVID lifted a little bit, you know? So
This is probably your last time in front of
it
us.
is, I know. I
And-
wanted to make sure that I got it in before your agendas got jammed.
Have you enjoyed your job?
I have enjoyed my job, yes.
So I did not know you before you took this job,
Right.
but having watched you in many settings, I've been impressed by a couple of things. One, you're a really quick learner. Two, you go to meetings and you listen, really. You didn't come just to talk. You just come to, of course, now that puts pressure on you so you can't leave. So but I've noticed that in several meetings. And you have a lot of common sense, and that's your approach. And it's not partisan. It's not really political. It's just get the job done. So those are three things you've really impressed me with. I'm very glad that you had the opportunity to represent this town. And I think in the, was it 4 years, 6 years, 4 years?
4 years.
4 years?
Dog years. I'm just kidding.
May feel like that. But yeah, I think you've done a good job, so thank you. And it's
Well,
been a
thank
pleasure
you.
getting to know you.
I'm sorry?
And it's been a pleasure getting to know
Oh,
you.
thank you very much. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah,
And I
to-
will say that Mr. Garrity's new job didn't help in my feeling that I'm getting stuff done. He did a great job for a couple of nice sick constituents, so thank you.
Well, we appreciate your help with Altice early on. You know, going up in front of them and
Well, thank you.
trying to push them back.
Yeah. Well,
but-
every time I talk to John Delegan, I'm like, got any more help?
That's right.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But before you leave, I want to ask whether you have any spare grant change in that purse of yours.
Well, you know, I wish that we had done the sewer, so that would have been a nice chunk of change for Summers.
We have a
Fingers crossed, you know.
We have a generator we love your help on, though.
Generator. Yeah, huh?
Yeah, up at Heritage there.
I thought that I thought you
It's
funded
there.
it.
We're going to get it done.
get it done.
We've not heard that, because I know I've been talking to Vidot about that.
Yeah,
so-
okay. Well, that's a good little on my to-do list.
Yeah, please.
Is it-
So I have
Yes.
two things on my to-do list.
Right,
now.
it not only serves Somers, but really northern Westchester.
Yeah, anybody
During
can go.
emergencies,
Right.
North Salem, Yorktown, folks have come down.
It's a
and
county
used it.
facility in Somers, but anybody can go. So therefore, it makes sense to us that the county should help when periodically you have to update it, which is what we have to do.
We're
Well-
incorrigible. We just ask for
Well,
money
no,
all over
I-
the place.
You don't ask, you don't get.
Exactly right. I mean,
That's
you
what we
know.
do. We compliment you, and then we say we want stuff.
Well,
Send the
I'm-
spider to the fly.
It's like this.
So I'm going to just end with a comment. I really didn't know Kitley before 4 years ago, but to add to the 1, 2, 3 that Councilman Clinchy came up with, you've been a great advocate, you know, for people you represent. You've been a great partner in Somers' efforts over the years. So I really want to thank you and wish you nothing but the best in your future endeavors.
Jeez, you blush, now I'm going to blush. I mean, they're killing us
They're
here.
a hard group sometimes.
They are. Well, thank you very
You've done
much.
great, Kelly. We
Thank you
appreciate
for
all
Thank
that
you
you've
so
done.
much.
Have a good evening.
Okay, you too.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is a discussion about the Business Historic Water District Study, Townhouse and Annex Water Supply Recommendation. And let me just tee this up by saying we took this on when the County Health Department put us on notice that we exceeded action levels on two contaminants. They're called PFAS, POAS and POASF. They are man-made elements. What troubled me about this whole process is the EPA's action level for these two contaminants is 70 parts per trillion. For some reason, in New York State, the action level is 10 parts per trillion.
And Mr. Supervisor, didn't they just change, isn't that outcome now we exceeded? Wasn't this an
about
action that just happened?
Yeah.
About 18
Yes.
months ago.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was last August.
That's correct. Last fall, yep.
So, and with that, so what do you do to remediate removing these two components? That's what we asked Woodward and Kern to get involved in. Do we spend money on remediation, meaning try to take these contaminants out of our water supply, or do we try to form a water district? In the case of the town buildings, it's this building and the annex. And we felt that since our water has high levels of sodium, so we're restricted for drinking it anyway. We have bottled water in both buildings. So we thought it was a good idea to study the water district. And Steve here is tonight to bring us up to speed on the study.
Sure. Thank you, Supervisor. I'm Steve Robbins with Woodard and Curran, consulting town engineer. The town board authorized us to look at a couple of options for how to address the exceedance that exists in the townhouse well. The first option that we looked at was what do we do to treat this water to bring the water supplied through the plumbing here in the building into compliance. We have experience in other communities doing this. We worked with the health department to discuss with them how they are evolving in their requirements to treat these compounds as well. They're dealing with this for the first time, just as many of these communities are. Their only current accepted method for treating these compounds is carbon filtration. We reviewed with them their design criteria for that and developed some conceptual planning level sizing and cost estimates for what it would cost to put a treatment system like that here for the townhouse based on the use as a non-transient, non-community public water supply source. That would involve a series of 4 filter vessels. They're each about 3 foot diameter and about 7 foot high. There's really no space within any of the town buildings for that much equipment. So it would require a treatment building, a treatment shed outside. And with all of that and the associated piping and electrical supply and possibly a new well pump, Adam, in coordination with him, also reminded me that the UV treatment system here at the townhouse is about 20 years old. So we'd probably look at a replacement unit for that as well, just as part of the regular maintenance and upkeep of the system. Believe it or not, all of that from a planning level is about a $400,000 project.
Wow.
So it's no small chunk of change.
And Steve, does that even include the operation and maintenance of a system like that?
That would be the capital cost. And then about every year, there's probably another $6,000 in cost to replace half of the carbon in that system. Again, planning level. The town currently operates this system with all of its sampling requirements and administrative requirements, reporting requirements, and the like. And that is an ongoing cost to the town as well to maintain this as a non-transient, non-community public water supply source. So with that, we thought it behooved the town to understand what it would take to bring an outside source of water to the townhouse. And in doing so, what else in the vicinity here, what other of the neighboring, especially businesses in the Business Historic Preservation District might also be interested. The town engineering technician has done some outreach to the neighboring businesses. They're all conceptually interested in having public water supply. They also bear the burden of sampling and maintaining water supply systems for their buildings. And so they were all interested in learning more as well. The nearest public water supply that could bring water here would be the Heritage Hills system, which is currently operated by Suez. We've had some informal conceptual conversations with them to understand their interest in providing water to the Business Historic Preservation District, either through the formation of a town-owned and operated water district or through the expansion of their service area, just as they have done to serve the DeChicos and developments south of 202. They are interested. They claim to have the capacity. There's some additional research and groundwork that we have to do around that to make sure that the documents match up with the words and all of that. But conceptually, that appears to be a feasible option. And between those two options, between having a new town district formed or expanding the franchise area for that Heritage Hills Suez system, there are some potential financial advantages to having the service area expanded, namely through a reimbursement from Suez for every metered connection that they pick up, because they would then be the purveyor of water and charging the same rates that they charge to other customers in the Heritage Hills system to new customers here in the Business Historic Preservation District.
Would there need to be any payments back? So if there's a water district, someone joins Adams District, they have to pay back some capital costs that others had been paying into. Would there be those costs?
No, not necessarily, no. And there would be if the town were to form a district. The capital outlay would be passed on to those customers or to those parcels within the district. If it's an expansion of the franchise area, and again, with the understanding that these are conceptual conversations at this point, and we haven't gotten the town's legal counsel involved, hasn't been to that point yet, that the town would outlay some expenditure, and then the town would receive from reimbursement from Suez for the metered connections. They would reimburse, I believe it's the cost of 75 feet for every metered connection.
And were that to happen up in Heritage Hills, because there's more people in that district, would that affect their rates because you spread it out? Would rates go down in general because more total customers, or
what
or
it does do to that
yet?
system
Did you
is
say rates go down?
Oh, but it does spread the cost.
it does spread the cost. It especially, any upgrades that need to happen to that system, and it's not a new system. The town has been involved in reviewing that system in the past for other past applications. When capital upgrades are needed, it increases the denominator on which that is spread across.
So, I just understand, it's a great concept, right?
Yes.
It is a concept at this point, so we're going to go into a plan, right?
Yes.
And so right now, we're just having like a desktop discussion.
Yes.
Some of the questions I've gotten from folks up at Heritage Hills is, do we have the capacity? I know you mentioned that, but I think it's important that we understand that they have the capacity to serve this in a fashion that,
Correct.
we want it, what we expect, right?
Correct.
And I guess you're going to go poll all the folks here to understand who wants to connect, because the interconnect to the main is going to be at the cost of the individual commercial or resident that does that, right?
That's correct.
Well, what happens though if somebody has an issue with their water, like the Townhouse does here, and they say they don't want to do it? I mean, do the individual business owners have to? I mean, they're going to have to remediate it somehow, aren't they?
If they're in a violation of a health department regulation, then they either have to treat it or connect to public water. And by providing public water, they have an option.
So as I understand this right now, this regulation is being imposed on suppliers, right, of water?
Correct. Yes.
I think also maybe to buildings or groups that are of a certain.
If the water supply is of a certain size, it serves a certain number of people per year, then it becomes regulated. The smallest of those is what's called a transient non-community public water supply. The town this building here is a non-transient non-community public water supply, and then the next step up is a community water supply, which is kind of your more typical larger municipal scale. But businesses, depending on the number of employees they have, may qualify as a public water supply as a transient or non-transient non-community source.
So what's going on here is that we have a regulation that impacts those types of customers. But if I have a private residence right here, but there's no compliance requirement.
Regulation.
That's correct.
I mean, we have no idea whether there's a PFOA issue at my house
Or mine.
or yours.
Correct.
Nor is there any mandate to do that.
Correct.
So I guess there won't be a mandate to join. It's not like a sewer district.
But I'm talking about the businesses that are
But the
here.
businesses,
So
I mean, the
we,
historic district is made up of, obviously, quite a few businesses.
Right, but,
That's
and
correct.
once again, I think, Steve touched on this. There are many businesses in this district
right,
that are on UV systems. They do have the sodium issue.
right. They would,
Right, so to my
Right.
mind, what Steve's talked about is three proposals here tonight.
Right.
One would be the carbon treatment, meaning we'd have to build a 12 by 16 building with vessels and,
400 grand.
400,000 with an annual $6,000 disposal charge. Create a business historic district, water district that the town ran. We'd be responsible for O&M. And then the last option would be for Heritage Hills to expand the district. I mean, we would be, as a board, expanding the district, but we'd also, for ourselves and the Business Historic District. Steve, why don't you just touch on a little bit more about 75 feet to service connections, and what would be the estimated cost to do, and once you designate where the district would in town.
and again, from a very conceptual desktop analysis, just to understand the relative impact of these options is all we've taken it to. And to the extent that the town has conducted outreach to the businesses around, it has been primarily right here around the townhouse itself. But if you were to pick up water at essentially in front of the DeChicos, which is where the water main currently crosses Route 202, come down 202 and turn up 100 to the cluster of businesses just beyond the cemetery at the intersection of 116. That's about a mile of pipe. And that is the bounds of the Business Historic Preservation District where there are commercial customers here. And that, again, planning level purposes and understanding the fact that these are state roads, which does increase some of the maintenance and protection of traffic costs and some of the road restoration requirements. We're estimating that to be about a $2 million capital cost. Once you pick up 50 to 60 metered connections along that route, that offsets about 2/3 of that cost from Suez. And so it brings the capital cost of a treatment system in line with the capital cost of providing that public water main through the Business Historic Preservation District, with the advantage of also then having much less operation and maintenance cost because you're not operating the pipe, you're not operating a treatment system. It also has the advantage of bringing fire protection, which can impact insurance rates for homeowners and businesses in the area where it's now quite a bit of a run to the nearest fire hydrant if those buildings were to catch fire. So there is that side benefit as well. And so in this, the town essentially serves as a broker for making that happen more so than any individual business could. If the town board were to decide to proceed with this route further, the next step in outreach would be to really do more of a door-to-door and more formal request for interest from those 50-odd parcels in the Business Historic Preservation District to truly gauge interest. If no one further down on 100, for example, was interested, you'd stop the pipe here. You wouldn't build more than people were interested in participating in, and thereby the actual costs.
Right, that would lessen the cost.
Yeah.
yeah.
Would we be limited going south on 100?
There is.
Or are we limited just by the Business Historic District?
Our scope was to look at solutions for the townhouse and to make sure that we weren't missing the forest through the trees to solve this particular problem, and to think about the Business Historic Preservation District as a whole, as kind of the commercial center in this part of town. Obviously, there's lots of commercial properties south on 100, but you certainly get into a question of cost. As you start running lengths of pipe without metered connections in there, you don't get that reimbursement. And so the town would bear the cost of that additional pipe. As part of the development just south of the Somers Town Center, those new townhomes
Somers
there.
Crossing.
Somers Crossing, thank you. That is also served by the Heritage Hills Suez system, and there is a pipe stub at that future public safety parcel there.
Right.
So that brings us quite a ways down 100.
Now, in doing that, I think Councilman Sirico asked about the volume of water that would be used. Now, the wells are just up 100 by Rhinoceros Creek. I think
Correct.
there's 3 or 4, do you know?
Actually, we're taking a look at them on Friday, on tomorrow. So I
So I was just-
believe that there was 3, but I don't quote me on that.
I think there's 3, could
Yes.
be 4.
Yes.
So, yeah, I looked at those once, took a tour on them. But I was just wondering, all right, so you haven't gone there yet. So
Well-
when you do, is there a chance, because the volume of water, I don't, we asked about capacity, is there a chance for another well to be drilled in the same area to provide for that increased capacity?
Yeah, certainly those are the exact questions that we ask of any water supplier when there's a development in town as the town engineer, and we're asking the same questions of Suez to understand where their capacity stands, what's the operational status of all of their wells, what's their permitted capacity, what's their actual yield. Those are ongoing conversations, and I can't comment on it exactly, but they've indicated that at least on paper they have the capacity to serve.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes without saying, we want to make sure that the existing supply of water is not impaired in any way.
Right.
Clearly.
So that they'll have to pass that, and then we build out.
We're not here with any action other than
Right.
updating the town board on our progress.
I mean, honestly, in the worst possible scenario, we could probably just connect the townhouse if
Yes,
there was no capacity,
sure.
right?
Yep.
Well, it might be expensive, but
Yes.
So, I mean, to sum up, I think what we've heard tonight, you've stopped short of a recommendation, but you've led us really to becoming a customer of Heritage Hills. That seems to be the most cost-effective.
Well,
the customer of Suez, it doesn't.
We-
They did
Suez.
give a recommendation.
We think it's prudent
No, yeah, in your,
to advance that
right, I'm talking
for
to
further
the public
review.
here.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So, yeah, your recommendation would be to become a customer of Suez Water, New York, and include as many of the historic district businesses that are interested, and for each connection, Suez New York gives us a 75-foot reimbursement for the cost of that, which brings the total cost without reimbursement, basically you said was $2 million.
Correct.
Based on, what, 50 connections?
Lots of
60?
assumptions. We
Yeah,
think
okay.
that the town's exposure after reimbursement could be similar to the 400,000 for the treatment system, on the order of 500,000 for that.
Or it could be more.
And where we are right now in this preliminary desktop study is, hey, we think this is worth exploring further, and
Yeah.
we wanted to understand the position of the town board before we went any further, either with Suez or with the property owners around here, to make sure that we weren't getting out ahead of the town board in this
Well,
review.
that would certainly be my opinion, just from what you've said and what you provided us, is that, yes, get more facts.
Yes.
Make sure that the whole thing's going to work.
Clearly.
The wells aren't going to go dry, but.
It's not a
yeah.
formal proposal for any particular
Right.
length of pipe, any start or end, but this is our update
It's a
on where we
reasonable
are.
avenue to go down.
Right, I mean, if you find out that there is no interest, or one business,
Yep.
Right.
Or that there's going to be a negative impact on the existing Heritage Hills customers as a
Right.
result of that.
so, yeah, and let's face it, the health department wants to know what our plan is.
Correct.
And we've been in touch with them saying, we're doing this study, we want to include our business historic district. Some businesses may have these contaminants, that they're under the gun with the health department. So, I think there's a, consensus here that we'd like you to pursue the, becoming customer of Suez, New York, and continue the survey.
Yep.
One other factor that I think I asked you early on, what if Suez, New York came up with those contaminants in one of their wells? Well, it wouldn't be, they may pass the expense on to us, but we wouldn't be involved in correcting that. They would be. you know, they would have to do these kind of carbon filter. Where there's other, I think, pilot programs now that are using some type of resin.
Yep, there are, ion exchange resin has been used in other jurisdictions, not yet in Westchester County, and there's at least one system in Westchester County that's piloting that to try to obtain health department approval, but it's not yet approved.
Just, Roland, just a question on the first right of refusal for capacity. We have it for sewer. Is this for water as well?
Yes, when Heritage Hills was formed, they formed paper districts for both sewer and for water.
Right.
So every time there's an extension of their service
That
area,
come through us.
you also extend the paper district.
Okay.
You go through that process as if it was a real district, instead of just being on paper. And the reason for that is if Suez should ever fail, or any operator there
Sure.
ever fail, the town is ready to step in and operate the
Right.
system.
But if they wanted to supply water to somewhere in Putnam, could they do that without,
No, you have the same.
we have the same?
Yeah.
That
same
happened.
right-
We have to
Same
approve
right.
it.
That's it, okay.
Somebody tried to do it years ago.
Right.
Well, for-
Yeah, question for you.
Yes, Roland.
My understanding was that Heritage Hills, when they sold what they sold to
Just wanna
Suez,
clarify that.
Heritage Hills kept the expansion rights, at least for sewer. Did they do that for water as well?
I don't know the answer to that, and that's one of those that we'll have to continue to get to the bottom of.
Because it might affect that level of reimbursement.
Yeah.
They've been very clear with that with us, so again, conceptual conversations, not contracts yet.
You know, the first time you mentioned this, I was one, I think others were, what? PF, what is
Yep.
it? PFAS. I said, I've never heard of this, and I try to be up to date on environmental things, but I did, because I realized the movie, and some people who might be watching on TV, the 2019 movie Dark Waters was exactly about a lawsuit in West Virginia, in which, go figure, Roland, the lawyer is the hero, and it
Usually are. It's never the
Yeah.
engineer, I'll tell
Who
you
would have
that.
thunk it?
But you know that I said I've heard of that, and so if anybody is listening, you know that. So my wife had seen the movie too, and when I went home, she said, "What is it?" I said, "That's what it is." Okay, and so she then called the county and said, "Well, how do I get myself tested, and what do we do?" And the county said, "We're not up to that yet." And the cost for the individual homeowner to get that, they cited, even though they just haven't got the answers, it was $600 to $800 just for each homeowner. So, you know, this is going to, it would seem to me, a big deal going forward.
It is pervasive.
They may not be doing it up here yet, but DEC has started a program of random testing of residential properties a little
Oh,
south
really?
of here.
Oh.
They're doing
For
it in Ormo, and I think
PFOS.
also in Bedford.
All right. Well,
So
let's,
they're working their way
all right,
north.
bring it
of
up.
us. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you just want to know.
yeah.
But once, I'll go back to my opening statement. We're talking about an action level of 10
Yeah.
parts per trillion.
Yeah.
I mean, the Environmental Protection Agency of the United States of America
That's what's strange.
has 70.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, this
that's
is
a
like,
big leap of faith.
I
this
know,
is like
I
an
don't get it.
unfunded mandate. In 18 months,
a
we're
big-
sitting here with all these
Yep.
actions and expenses,
Yep.
and we don't even know whether this is going to resolve them.
It will resolve it.
We will. So I think, I don't think, you do have a mandate
Thank you.
now
Fix it
that
well.
we
We
want you to
appreciate your time.
pursue, you know, the expanding the district to include the historic district. Encourage you to get out and start doing a formal survey so we can get an idea of what the reimbursements would be. I believe under our ARPA funds that we've received $1 million so far. The timing couldn't be better.
Yes.
So let's go forth and get this problem solved.
We'll update the health department as well
Okay,
through Adam.
thank you. Okay, the next item, good night, Adam. The next item on our agenda, Don Bleasdale of
Thanks,
our
Steve.
Somers Environmental Committee cannot present tonight. We'll put him on
Right.
a future meeting.
I
So,
said-
which brings us to our favorite community choice aggregation program. The town's been in This is looking at our third contract, I believe. And Dan Welsh is here to answer questions and present where we are.
And Mr. Supervisor, I'm going to be recusing myself from these discussions. Yeah, I'm going to go sit out there.
Okay, that's even better. Thank you.
Yeah.
I know the
But,
rules.
by the way, we have the PFAS thing going on in Lewisboro as well with the Oak Ridge water system. So
Oh,
I've been
PFAS, yeah.
talking about that, and I think we're all hopeful that whatever suit is in the works, to collect money from the folks who
Manufacturers?
produce this stuff may eventually help to defray some of this.
Yeah,
But
well,
it's
I
gonna take a long
understand.
time, I'm sure.
The only lawsuit that I'm aware of is Westchester County against the manufacturer of the firefighting foam. And early on, we tried to become part of that lawsuit, and they,
I thought there
Didn't
was a
wanna hear it.
national suit though also.
Is there? Oh, a
happening,
national
yeah.
one?
And it would be, like going after DuPont and those, but I'm sure it'll take so long that we won't see any money in time to handle these.
yeah, to meet the
these issues,
Department
yeah,
of
but-
Health's mandates.
Yeah, but definitely sticky problem and, it's kind of scary.
Yeah, and
But
it is.
anyway, thanks. Dan Wells, Director of the Westchester Power Program. I'm here to support the discussions on the renewal of the program. We've been, as you noted, through this a number of times, and it's another round. We have a bid coming up. There's a whole sequence of actions that happen before the end of the contract. We have this opt-out letters, and then your bidding and everything. So we actually get going pretty early, and we've already got 3 out of the 5 towns signed on to the MOU so far. But I'm also here to give you some updates on some very recent information, which is important context, and that is that the markets have gone bonkers, and the pricing is heading upwards. And what does that mean for us? Right now, well, it means there's one glimmer of sort of good news, is that the current contract is likely to perform pretty well. So far, the standard rate, which is the default for Somers, is a shade better than break even, and we're, as I say, we're in a upward move on the pricing, so that if you look at August NYSEG prices, they're at about 7.2 cents, and we're locked in with Somers at 6.75. So, of course, no crystal balls. You never know what's going to happen with the rates, but that's where that is. But
Dan, do you know why there's a lot of things. Building materials, 30% on wood.
Well,
You
it's
can't get
worse than
chips
that,
for a
yeah.
car, so it drives the price up.
Right.
Are these, to your knowledge, momentary imbalances of supply and demand in energy, just as in other things, that will theoretically even itself out, according to the Federal Reserve, in the
they're
next
all
year or two?
connected, I guess, right? And the total economic activity level is driving demand. There's an anticipation that is picking up. So the main driver for the electric prices is natural gas prices today in our area. If you look at the total electricity dumped into the grid, it comprises the largest part of the fuel that goes to generate that electricity. So it's the main driver, and you've got higher demand on that. You had people backing off a little bit on their supply. At the same time, there's an increase in exports, which some of the new pipelines have facilitated, so that some of this gas is going out to markets where the prices are much higher, i.e. Europe and places like that, which is significantly higher. So all that coming together. And then, some of it's maybe just, there's just uncertainty priced into certain things as well. So, but then, it's like you can't pin down on any particular item what that
So
might be.
Dan, in some of our prior discussions with the other supervisors, we were talking about a couple of strategies. One was could we get an extension with the current, I know you have the answer, so I'm
Yep.
kind of teeing this
Good.
up.
Good.
Could we get an extension, 6 months or a year, to go to Councilman Clinch's point, because of the fluctuation?
Right.
And the answer to that is,
The answer is the current supplier is not positive to give us an extension because the prices.
it was good to ask.
It was, and I actually basically was on the phone with them again this morning, asking, find us, some different mechanisms here. So the price goes up. It had already gone up by the time we had established the benchmark that's in the MOU that's in front of you now. And that, there's an 8.7 number in there is the green price. So your standard price was about 7.7. The renewable energy certificate piece was a penny in there. So the implied standard price would be 7.7 versus your price today of about 6.7. So the market went up by a penny, roughly, just to that point where we had developed that. Since then, it's gone up about another penny. So that, a little bit less than that for the standard, we just got new indicative prices, which is a matter of going out to the suppliers. In fact, this is part of our lead up to the bid. We have an RFI, a request for information, where we ask all the suppliers to give us current market prices. And we use that to just triangulate where we are. And those newest indicatives, the standard price is coming in at 8.5 cents now, up from the 7.7. The renewable was up to 9.8 cents. The REC, the renewable energy certificate piece that's going into the renewable supply, went from, it was already a penny in the previous iteration, to 1.3 cents. So things are moving. So,
but how do these compare? Like you just said, our standard residential was 7.7. It's up to 7.8 now. How does that compare to NYSEG's rate?
So NYSEG has been a little bit of a roller coaster, but as I said, our 6.72 cent current rate has been a little better than break even. You've saved a little shave over NYSEG. They've gone from like 6 to 5.9 to 9.3 at 1 month to back to 6. And this month, I just looked, the first few days are at about 7.2 cents. And that usually wherever they start out, they're pretty much that's going to be
So the
month.
NYSEG rate is a spot rate, it's going up and down.
It's going, but it's,
But you did
it's
your
trending.
analysis, you did the average, and you're saying it's running more expensive on that average to our fixed
Yes.
rate right now. But the point is, it's going up.
It's going up.
The fixed rate contracts are going up. Do you
Right.
happen to know what 1 cent costs the contract?
Yeah, that's very important, and I think to give everybody that context, I think that maybe the best way to look at it is for a typical bill. And the average bill, or the average number of kilowatt hours for a typical bill in Somers around this area, it's about 1,000, maybe 1,100 kilowatt hours. And so you figure a penny is $10 on your monthly bill. So it's not nothing, it's
So, and 2
significant-
cents is 20, so I think,
Yeah.
but this is sort of the
It's-
the larger economic conversation about inflation and is it temporary or not? But
Right.
it looks like we're faced with increased energy supplies.
So what
Costs.
the sort of additional thinking that I want to bring tonight is, we have this 8.7 benchmark, which was in our MOU, and we're not coming to recommend that we bump that up for these new indicatives, right? They're just, that's just looking too high. But it's very possible that we could go to auction with that and not get a compliant bid also. And then that would bring us a good measure of chaos as we tried to regroup and figure out what the next step was. We want, if at all possible, to avoid a discontinuity in service, because we all know what happens with the switch letters, and we come out, and then maybe
Right.
we wait a couple months, we go to bid, there's another opt-out letter. So if we can avoid that, it would be nice. So we're thinking of going back and also trying to entertain something that we looked at about a year ago, which is some form of a variable dynamic pricing. And there's different ways to do that. But the point would be, if we're at such a high point now, and it's higher than we've seen in these 5 years, then isn't the likelihood that it's going to start to tick down? And if that's the case, do we want to have a pricing structure that allows us to pick up some of that as it goes down? The logic is different than the last time we looked at this, when we were thinking about, maybe a variable rate. When we did that last year, we were in the bottom of the market and it was heading up, and there was no reason to want to pick up a rise in the market. We were in a good shape to lock in, and I think that's going to prove itself out. But at this point, with the rates being so high, we might want to look at a variable rate. And one way we could do that is to actually hold both auctions at once. So we can have the auction based on our current benchmark, and on the same day, we can have an auction for a variable product, which would be fixed on everything except for the base energy price, which is something that there's an index that comes right off of the New York ISO, and it's a published mark for what the electricity is day by day. So you have an index there that directly reflects this change in the prices. And everything else that goes into the cost, which is there's a capacity charge and auxiliaries and spinning reserves. Those things are easier for the bidders to capture with good confidence. They don't move like the energy charge does. So you could get a fixed price on that and then indexed with just the published NISO gas price. So the bid would be on that fixed part, with a formula being as I just described.
Yeah, you lost most people there. But
no, I'm sure. Yeah.
But it's like going for a mortgage, and you get the fixed rate or the variable rate mortgage, and the conditions will determine which one seems to be in your interest. Although we're not talking about years here, we're talking about a year here.
Well, I think he's also trying to say that he's trying to structure it to limit the volatility.
Right.
Well,
whichever one.
Are we looking at a 1 year, 2 year?
I mean, in a sense, there would be more volatility in this,
if it was all
but it would recognize the fact that the market is high, and knock on wood, likely to start to drift down. And if you're locking in high, then you don't pick that up when it comes down.
Well, you'd probably be able to. I'm sorry.
When they write, if you were to go to this variable concept, you would have to make a commitment in time, right? Are they going to be 6, 12 months? I mean, do they typically do that? What's the time?
Sure.
What's the time frame that they would offer you a contract for variable rates?
They will offer usually, since there's still a fixed component, they'll probably offer you no more than 3 years. So it's generally in the auction, we typically ask for bids on 1, 2, and 3 years, just to see, as they looked out on the horizon, rates were going down. That looks attractive. You have that opportunity.
But is it your thought to just do this in a shorter term, because this is
that's my guess.
You would rather be
it wouldn't
the
be less.
variability be
It probably
temporary,
wouldn't be less than a year though, because the bidders, there's a certain amount of sort of fixed cost and setup costs and everything that built in.
Well, and I think you're doing a good job, and you're doing it the right way. It's very complicated for the public right now.
So really the decision, and why I asked Dan to come tonight, was this board has to decide, do we stick with the community choice aggregation program, and that we're learning tonight of this variable component, or,
And I present that, it's not in your MOU
No, I know,
now.
right.
So we would have to, configure that and come back to you and say, look, we'd like to add this as a part of the bidding and get your okay on that, But my sense is assuming you want to support the continuation in the program, we can go ahead and do the MOU as it is, just to keep the momentum, have that in hand, and then we can amend it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of a mind, you know, we made this commitment, and for the history of it, you know, we made out, town of Somers residents have made out better than if they weren't in this program. This year's been, like you said, up and down. But believe me, having been here when this all started and, you know, trying to explain to people, you know, why we switched, you know, to this community choice aggregation program,
Yeah.
I would say my recommendation would be let's stay with it. We can enter into the MOU. But Dan, are the numbers the 7.740 for standard residential and the 7.693, those really aren't current numbers, are they?
That's in the MOU?
Yeah, that's on the,
Oh, it's on the,
I think the
Letter.
6.7
No,
is
that's
the
on the-
existing contract.
That's the background information maybe on.
right, that's what we got, but you said you have the updated numbers, which actually unfortunately
Yeah,
have
the
increased.
actual MOU draft was in.
right, as a reminder, the indicatives were,
Yeah,
this is for Somers,
Right.
because we're on the standard.
yeah. That's what I read.
But you have the actual MOU
Yeah.
Format in there?
Yes.
Was that
All
the,
got it?
so
All
the
80
benchmark
pages.
in there is set at 8.7.
What page would that be on, Dan?
Oh, you have the whole contract there.
We have the whole thing, yeah.
That's an addendum. to
Took a
the
while.
MOU. But
Yeah.
normally we like to have the MOU on the front of that.
So Roland, you've had this,
I
right?
saw it for North Salem, I presume it's all the same.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Well,
I
all
think
right,
we-
so the numbers you gave us, you said just today you spoke to them, or you spoke to somebody, and the numbers seem to be going up.
right.
So,
what I'm saying
does
is-
it really matter what's in there? Because we understand what the parameters are and how you're going to double bid it, so to speak,
Look,
and then
the
wait.
number that we've set is a matter of having some comfort level that it's not just open-ended.
Right.
And we try to find some, but ultimately it's the start of the auction,
Right.
and then the price gets driven to wherever, the bidders can stand.
Right, it's how many cents per kilowatt hour.
But typically, that gives you the permission to make a commitment as long as you're within that contract.
That's right.
But we're sitting here
Exactly
saying that
right.
I
Yeah.
mean, we want to support the program, but you still want sort of the ability to assess whether this, the rates where they're at when it comes down to it. And be able to communicate that to the public.
So what would
so-
we be committing to you tonight? Or
So
just
the
say we'll let
MOU
you-
Yeah, the MOU is a commitment in the
Right,
sense that.
that's what
as
we've
you
done in
said,
the past, right.
If we get compliant
Reading
bids
that,
underneath
sort of.
the target amount,
Okay.
then we go forward with it.
And the target amount
The target is
is?
set at 8.7, that's the green price. So it's gonna be a 7.7 or even less on the standard side.
So the
and
target is
as I said-
7.7.
The official target is 8.7, but you guys are always,
Just-
less the rec, and the rec is
Right.
about a penny at this point, or maybe a little more. So, so as I said, right now it's a little bit of a kabuki dance, tap dance with what's going
I
on with
get
the
it.
market. We're trying to, just set our flag down here at this level and continue to, explore these other options as well. And, just in the next 2 weeks, we could see more things happen in the market, and we would keep you guys updated. But this would be the cap. And if we go in and we do get prices in that, that comply, given what's going on, that would be pretty darn good. Otherwise, as I say, we will come back to you within these next few weeks and with a formula for a second option that we would probably recommend to do in parallel at
Okay,
the same,
that's what
on the same day.
Okay.
And with criteria, so maybe it's like, if this comes in at this level, we go this way, otherwise we go this way,
Now, there was one year when the auction was going on and you literally needed someone on the phone within like minutes to make decisions. We don't go through that anymore. Remember that?
Well, we would, when we were first started this, we were doing your basic email bids, and we had our war room, and then we'd get the bids in, we'd see who was lowest, then we'd go out to everybody and say, well, we've got one lower, and you make those phone calls, and we get another couple of mils off, in some final bid, but we have to make the call because they have to do it before the end of trading on that day. But the MOU gives us the ability to do that.
No more of those.
In those last
Okay.
moments, yeah. And now we're using the online auction system. So everybody's welcome to attend and actually watch those auctions.
It's
as part of
fascinating.
that. It's kind of exciting.
Okay, so in my mind's eye, this program is still in the best interest of residents. If we get a rate that's fixed and, the rates go up, it's going to benefit them.
Oh, might I note also, continuity is also important because we're working now on the integration of the community solar piece. So you folks are familiar with that, and Somers residents have been signing up to that on an opt-in basis. It will become an integrated part so that we'll be able to drive those credits, which ultimately translate to savings for people through the Westchester Power Program. And especially in our NYSEG, it's a little tougher, there's not as much capacity, but NYSEG we do anticipate a very good response from developers on capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's you have to be in the CCA to enjoy that as well.
Just anecdotally, the least I've paid for electricity for a month was last month, as long as I've been in my house.
Yeah.
Okay, Dan, thank you for spending some time and educating us on the current process. But you'll come back to us if you folks decide to go with the variable?
Yeah. So if you're in a positive frame, then I would ask that you authorize the signing as is, and then we would come back to you.
Does that,
Any change.
so would that bind us into the regular rate and not the green rate, or is that a decision we'd make later on?
No, you guys could stay where you are in the standard rate.
I mean, because
Yeah. Unless
obviously
you
you know where
wanna-
I would stand on that. I
Sure.
think the green rate. I'll pay that
Sure.
extra penny.
Sure.
And I'll pick up neighbors who.
I mean-
Well, you always
don't
have that
wanna do it.
option. You can call and get
Have
your
that
rate.
option, or
And,
or the other
and
direction
if you
as
go
well.
in on it, everybody has the option to pick the residential rate. So it
That's
goes
right.
both ways.
That's
I'm
right.
just saying, when you look around the world, and in my opinion, you look at what's going on, anything that I can do that will lower the impact of climate change going forward, I will do. And it's sort of like when we're talking about the new sale of the new pot law. Anything I could do that would deter someone younger, I taught in high school in your town,
Yeah.
that would deter someone from doing, I don't want to do anything that's going to encourage anybody. And I feel the same way on this issue, and you
Yeah,
just look at
it's,
the,
the imperative is absolutely there.
so that's where I stand on it. I don't really have anybody else with me, but that's where I stand on it.
Let you folks
Right.
work on that.
I for one, would not be so presumptuous to speak for the residents of Somers by saying everybody wants, to make that green contribution. The standard rate, they're still getting, they're getting the lowest possible community aggregation. And that, in your case, if you wanted to go to a green, couldn't he?
Right, yeah, I understand that. It's just that what
Well,
percentage of people go with whatever the default is? 90-something?
But-
percent?
I
I mean,
kind of think,
that's what's going to happen. And so if we go green, 97% of the people are going to stay with that. And they can say, hey, we did something good, along with the other 26 out of 29 towns. I understand both parts. We want to save everybody every dollar they can. That's our responsibility as leaders, whether it be from anything that we do here, from water to parks to highway. That is our responsibility. I just disagree on our responsibility outside of this town. And it may be very, very, very small impact, but, I feel strongly about that, but I know I'm in the minority here.
Well,
I was just asking you
it's,
whether or not I'm obligating myself right now to that, to the standard price tonight, or would I do that at another time?
No. It's in the MOU.
Yeah, it's in the MOU, but probably up, if you were to make a change up until bidding time, that would be fine.
So, the more challenging thing, I think, for us is just the communication plan. I mean, what we're saying is things are going up, and, $10 on one's bill is not insignificant.
Not nothing.
And
yeah.
we're saying it could be 20 and maybe 30 if it's 3 cents, right?
That would be,
Right.
yeah,
I mean, all right, so let's not go to 3 cents,
Yeah.
but 1 to 2 cents, and 1,000 kilowatts is the average. I mean, I use 1,500. If you have air conditioning and stuff like that.
Also.
In a house full, right? Particularly
Yeah.
during, oh wow,
So
yeah, the
you know.
COVID thing was like a lot of fun.
Right.
That electric stove was like cooking. Yeah, so, anyway,
Yeah, no, it's
that's,
not-
the
not
communication plan, I
significant.
think, is gonna be interesting here, that we manage expectations.
Yeah, well, we definitely be focusing on that. And as I said, with the community solar coming up, we have a added challenge because it's not easy to help people understand why the two programs and how they work together and everything. So we're spending a lot of time working on that
Just
aspect.
one other concept, if you go to the variable rate, does the user have the option to create a budget for
Good
the
question.
supply side? So you level it out.
Good question.
Yeah, I would think they always have that option.
And make sure they
in fact-
understand that as well, because you know the way those rates go, right?
Right. No, it's, as far as I know, it's required by the PSC, Public Service Commission, of the suppliers, that if people want to have a budget, that they are able to put that together.
Thank you, Dan.
You bet.
Thanks. It was good to see you, Dan. Okay, gentlemen, I will make a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the Community Choice Aggregation Program MOU.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Green option.
So moved. But just to be clear, we're on the standard rate. But
All right, so maybe, all right, so I'll answer it. Maybe. We could then use our ability to disseminate information saying people, so if you feel like someone on the town board feels, and you want, here's what you have to do, because I mean, people just don't know, and maybe if we made it easier, more people would do it.
So the difference between the green and standard, the green rate, you're paying a little bit more because that
it's a
money
penny.
is going towards efforts to
Right.
make us a
It's all
greener-
renewable, it's
a
all
greener
wind,
society.
wind,
So
water, etc.
If someone wants to make a contribution to save the whales, or to save the icebergs, or the seals, they could stay on the standard rate and make those kind of contributions. But I think as a town board, representing the best interest of our residents, this is the baseline, this is the standard, and if they want to contribute it on top of that, so be it.
But we make other things where people have to do it, whether it be fire alarms or other things.
Safety issues,
Seatbelts in cars. Well, this is. I mean, you do have a.
How is this safety related?
It's bigger than us, because if you look around the world and the impacts that are going on, it is a safety issue. You're going to affect, look out west at the fires, you look at the impact on agriculture, you look at migrations around the world. Yes, Little Somers is not going to impact those. It's more theoretical, I suppose. It's a statement. But if everybody makes the same thing, in choosing for one, you sort of choose for all is how I look at it. And so one might say, well, if I don't wear a mask, what the heck? Or if I don't stop smoking, well, we all have an impact on others. That's how I look at this. Mm-hmm. So I think I have an obligation. That's not just, hey, do I like red paint or orange paint? I don't know. I kind of make a choice. I think that there is something larger. And I do understand that, and we've heard from people over and over, about the impact of sewer districts, for example, and how that amount of money each month is difficult for some of them. So yes, but then there's the overall impact of a sewer district or whatever else we want to say. And people said that about seatbelts. Hey, let me pay for it. It's my decision, isn't it? Well, sort of, but you do impact others, or people who don't want to wear a helmet when they ride a motorcycle. Yeah, but your actions will affect others if something happens. So I see this. I understand that you don't. But I see this in the same vein. This is about the overall goodness, or collective security, in a sense, around us. And so I just try to commit to everything I can. I'm sure I don't do it perfectly. I'm still driving a car to use gas, so nothing's
Come
perfect.
on.
I am. I'm embarrassed to say I do. But this is how I feel about it.
Okay, so we have a motion. We have 4 of us authorizing supervisor to enter into the MOU at the standard rate. So moved. So Patty, you'll note that resolution, and I'll sign the MOU. Next item is our Townhouse meeting room communication system bid document. So for years, we've been discussing moving our meeting room to the 21st century. Kind of took a year off last year. However, we reinstituted our bid, and we have a bid from DNR Laboratories, Robert Lutz. And the bid is for $56,643. And that would be to put monitors up on the walls, wireless microphones, upgrading the video booth, and what's another component to this that we were asked to consider is for $3,750. We could add a Zoom component to our system. I, for one, would promote that. Since we really don't know where things are going. We do know, and through Roland's counsel, we did find out that you can be a voting member of a board. You can be considered part of the quorum if you're remote Zoom location that's in a public place, and you notice that. So, I mean, I see that as a plus for us operating our board meetings, for the other boards as well. So the total lift here would be $60,393. So if anyone have any issues, questions?
My comment on that would be.
We only received one.
Yeah. No, my comment on that would be, this is something that I brought up for years in the budget discussions, as you know, and it always fell just a little bit short. But because of COVID and getting us into the 21st century technologically, it obviously makes more than good sense. And not only will it bring us into the 21st century, it will be cutting-edge technology. And I believe Tammy Savin, yourself, Mr. Supervisor, saw firsthand of what happened in Bedford by the same company, and it's impressive, and it would, I believe, get everybody visibility to all the meetings, and not just on TV, but on the go, on their smart devices as well.
It's the same in Newcastle.
It really brings the government directly
Same in
to the
North
people.
Castle.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it?
Not new.
Yeah.
You know more than I know.
Yeah.
It was in his documents.
Okay, well, I feel it's, a year delayed, but
We're better
certainly
for it.
we weren't making any kind of commitments like this during COVID.
I know other boards were asking about it,
Yes.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think we need to do this and just get into the 21st century, and then we're also prepared for any eventuality.
Yeah.
For sure. And isn't it fortuitous? Don't we have a piece of luck, as Councilman Garrity was mentioning before, I think Councilman Sirico also, with help from Senator Harcum with a SAM grant. I think this is something that we can apply directly to this, right? It's a capital expenditure, which he explained was the requirement. It's not fix things, it's not run things, but going to invest in something. So that might be a direct application.
It's a good idea.
That might be, the ARPA funds
Right.
might be something else.
It would qualify for that?
It may.
Ah, well, that's good.
All right, so I'm going to make a motion
Definitely.
to award the bid to DNR Laboratories in an amount not to exceed $60,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Just a-
Roland, I'm just gonna have them issue a change order, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
What would be a delivery date on that? I mean, what, have you talked about that?
Well, we had in our bid package at,
Next
Says it
year.
in all of them.
yeah, okay. Right away, we want this. They got back to us and said, 4 to 6 weeks.
All right,
Still
well,
pretty good.
that's-
Yeah.
That's still not bad.
That's not terrible.
Took us 4 to 6 years to make the decision.
Okay, the
So 4 to
next
6
item on our agenda is the community forestry grant bid discussion. And Steve, give us a little background on this.
Excuse me. Under the prior director of planning, the town applied for a grant to conduct a community urban forestry inventory. This is an inventory of trees in public rights-of-ways, parks, and the like. And the town received a grant in the amount of $35,000 to conduct that inventory and to make a plan for how to manage the community's trees. That grant was awarded based on an estimated cost in accordance with the town's procurement policies, with this being a professional service, but as a matter of good practice, we issued an RFP to 3 qualified firms to conduct this work and in order to determine the best value to the town from those 3 firms. The town received 2 replies to that RFP, one from Save a Tree and the other from Davy Resource Group. Both were responsive, both were complete. We reviewed both responses against the qualifications of the certified arborist that they would be providing, their ability to complete the scope of services, the availability of the services to meet the overall program schedule, cost, and with a preference for, since money is coming from New York State on this, a New York State firm, consultant, and field crew and personnel. Between those 2, we recommend an award to Save a Tree for their compliant bid, an amount not to exceed that grant budget of $35,000.
Okay.
The town does have, as part of the grant, a requirement to conduct outreach in the community, and we are working with the Open Space Committee to promote this program and understanding of the community's tree resources.
Is the tree, we have a tree board, a new
Yes.
board. Are they part of that open space? There's some of the same people on it?
I believe they function the same,
Yes.
as the same.
Yeah, I
yes.
think so. Michael
Those are-
Barnard and his group.
Those are all stellar volunteers to this town.
Okay. And we need to have that board, I think, to get this grant.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why we formed it.
Yep, we formed
Yeah,
a tree
yeah.
board so we can be eligible for grants just like this.
Good.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to authorize the supervisor to award the grant bid to Save a Tree in the amount not to exceed $35,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved.
The electric vehicle charging stations.
All right, next up on the agenda is the electric vehicle charging stations installation. Request for additional authorization. So just real briefly, I'm trying to think, we received the grant from NYSERDA, I believe it is.
Correct.
Okay. So Steve, why don't you tee it up as long as,
The town received a grant to install some electric vehicle charging stations. There's been a couple of iterations to determine where these are best placed. And in the town's discussions about where the placement will be, it was determined, I believe, one over at Van Tassel and the other at Reese Park. The contractor has informed the town that most of its price can hold with the changes the town has made to the scope of work, but there has been some increase in cost of materials, and they've requested an additional $1,300 for that increased cost of materials. We've reviewed that cost in coordination with the building department, with Tom Tuma, and we find it to be reasonable given the changes that the town has made to the scope.
Okay.
So we would recommend that the town move forward with accepting that change if you're so inclined.
Steve, on these electric charging stations, people ask, like, I know some of them, you buy time on a app and then you use it at the station. Others are credit cards, I think, the older ones. How do these things work?
I would need to review the terms of that original bid. I don't recall it offhand.
Okay.
But I think, yeah, these are gonna be dual chargers.
Yep.
Where you can pay. If you're a town employee or whatever, maybe we'll have a separate card for that. But, you know, the
I'm trying
one,
to remember.
excuse me?
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah. No, I was just wondering.
Yeah, so the one up at Van Tassel will basically be in a public accessible area, but it'll be used for the electric vehicle that the nutrition program has. And then the one at Reese Park will be just open, you know, to the public in general.
Because I was surprised in looking at, I don't even know why I was doing, is that there's one company that does it where it's an app on your phone, and you buy it through that, and then somehow you get a code which you punch in that bill your car electricity. So I was just wondering.
Yeah.
So just a side question. Let's say I pull up in that space and I occupy it, I charge my car, but I just leave it there for a couple hours more, and there are other people that want to get to it. I mean, are there ordinances? Who got to think about ordinances?
Possibly in the
Possibly,
future.
right?
You'd be very inconsiderate if you did that.
Yeah.
You'd love to have that problem, just for the
Yeah,
record, 'cause
yeah.
right now, there's not much use on, you know, we use it for our town vehicles, but,
True.
you know, over near Bobo's, there's one there, and I think in a year, I've seen 2 cars there.
What, over
Or the
here?
one up in Baldwin
Over
Place.
Over in Baldwin Place.
Oh, okay. And we have one here at the Somer Shopping Center. And I've never seen anybody connected to it.
Yeah, well,
That's gonna change because recently, you know, car companies are saying that they're spending $35 billion and all this
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
building infrastructure to come out with more electric cars.
Yeah.
You know, the supervisor and I were just the other day out in front of the building with our new hybrid police car.
Yep.
So as the towns start to do it, other people are looking to do
Oh,
it.
I see a need for charging stations in the future, and there are a lot of programs that will, once again, we're all about grants.
There's a push for, you know, the PSC has indicated, and I should know the number off the top of my head, I don't, I just know the portion that we're supposed to do, but, you know, literally thousands and thousands of new charging stations, they call them EVs, are what they want to put up, and there's the slow chargers and the fast chargers. And there's all different there, so there's a huge push on that right now.
I think it's in the infrastructure bill they're about to pass in Congress too, I think, to create across the country. Because a lot of people say, well, that's great, but what if I run out of electricity if I'm going to drive upstate? What do you do? So it has to be a nationwide thing, and if you want to encourage it, you have to have the charging station. You're not going to get the cars, then put in the charging station. You got the charging stations, then hopefully the cars, you know, build it and they will
The people who
follow.
buy Teslas, they just map it out. They know where every and that's where, you know, what Rick and I was just saying is, or what Tony was saying, you hope there's nobody just parked there, because if you're planning going on a 10-hour trip, and I know there's a charger right there, you get there and somebody's just sitting there, that would stink.
That would
I
not
mean,
be
it's
But,
gonna, it's gonna be interesting to see how the behavioral aspects of all of this. If most people are commuting, you go to back and forth, and then you plug the car in your house, so, you know.
But when you
The
find
ones that are around here in the shopping centers are gonna be people that are maybe coming to, you know, that have a need to charge, and.
Those
or
would be
that-
the fast
or in
chargers.
Well, yeah,
or in
the-
transit
the
somewhere.
two types are, you'll have, like, kind of what we have here is you pull in and you plug it in overnight, so you're charging it fully, so we don't need a fast charger. The others are if you're going on a trip somewhere and you're just, you know, you run into the mall for
Right.
an hour to get lunch, you want it to charge up more than that, so hopefully it'll be a fast charger. But also to the point you were making, if you notice, a lot of them are put in places where a lot of people don't park. I mean, if you go to the Danbury Mall, they're as far away from the mall as you could get, sort of, because you know somebody's not going to say, oh, geez, I need a parking spot, I'm going to go park there and walk 5 miles to the mall.
Right.
And that's where they tend to be in most instances. But there's a huge push right now. Obviously, I'm involved in it. So there's a huge push for it.
Anyway,
So I'm going to make a motion to authorize the additional expense of $1,300 to pay NIF Associates. They're the vendor for the 2 EV stations.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, do we have anything else you want to bring up?
Yes,
Under town
actually.
board actions?
Yes, actually, the fireworks display, as we know, is going to be on September 18th.
Oh.
The Lions are contributing greatly to that, and the town is contributing the fireworks themselves. And this is being billed sort of as our post-COVID renaissance, and we're expecting a very
Hopefully.
I call
Very
it
high
the
turnout.
Somer's Big Bang celebration.
voila, that works too. And there are 2 expense items that haven't been decided upon yet. One is for shuttle buses to facilitate parking, getting people in and out of the event, and the other is a band, which is traditionally part of the festivities. And the organizers, the Somers Lions Club, in the interest of disclosure, I'm one of them, is looking for some financial assistance from the town for both the shuttle buses and the band. With regard to cost, the band is on or about, but not to exceed $1,500. And my last count for the shuttle buses, those estimates have not yet come in, so I can't provide any sort of estimate to that.
Is that
So
Reese?
Yes.
that is
yes.
at Reese, back
Yeah.
home at Reese, yes.
Ah.
Okay, so I was able to get some
Numbers.
information on what the Lions paid back in 2017 for Royal Coach. It was $2,360. In the past, it was generally ranged from $2,000 to $2,400. So I guess the ask here is, we've had meetings with the police department, parks department, and fire department, and the Lions Club, and we all agreed on the date of September 18th, and the police department are okay with, they'll institute, the parking, and we'll deal with that. The town, as Councilman Faulkner said, will deal with the fireworks. And as far as I'd say up to $3,000 for buses. So I guess the question here, gentlemen, is should the Lions, the Chamber, or other community organizations not come up with, $4,500 or $5,000 to pull off this event? Would the town be willing to, contribute that for the Big Bang celebration?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. We're
Did-
backstopping it, right?
So I
So-
liked when
yeah.
we used to raise the money, have the little thing out there, the little
Yeah,
temperature
but that was
thing.
easier when they used to be able to give the town the money.
Right.
And then when it went somewhere else, it
Yeah, we couldn't
became
do
a
it.
little convoluted.
Well, we couldn't raise the money, I think, if you said rolling, right? We can't raise
Because we asked the
money.
question. Next time we
But-
don't ask
Yeah, we don't ask the question.
So, I mean, is there a way to do
I asked
that?
the question. It was-
Can't we just do that? I mean, a
Well,
lot of people would say,
this
I'll
is-
give you.
This is August 5th.
It's a month and a half away.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we could look at it down the road, but I would say that we would backstop
Oh, yeah, you gotta have it.
and
Yeah.
cover whatever they.
No, I have no problem with that. It's
They
just
may
whatever
ra-
we don't raise, I say we
may-
cover.
This gives them the opportunity to contract,
Yeah. yeah.
so we're committed.
No, it's
So,
100%.
yeah, so I think everybody's.
If we can raise money, good. If,
Now, the time would be like from
Whatever's left.
5 to 9 or something,
Yeah.
afternoon, or?
Yeah, it's going to be, the Lions,
it's gonna get
not
dark
committed
earlier.
to, but
Yeah.
possibly, setting up a barbecue. Be kind of a microcosm of the Independence Day celebrations we used to have at Reese. we're not gonna have the bouncing houses and stuff like that, but it'll be just a community get-together, and
Yeah,
I want to shoot off fireworks. You know, it's been too long.
Years and years ago, they just had it where they had just fireworks being shot off. You didn't have anything else.
Right.
And people came and loved it. So, you know, we have it in the budget. We want to do it. And,
And
if
once
we can
again,
make
you know,
it even
this-
better, let's do that.
Right. You know, we all know it's constrained at Reese Park. We're gonna, it's for Somers residents only. And we'll provide, once we fill up the field in Reese Park, people will be directed up to
My driveway.
Rich's.
That's it.
Rich is offering his
Selling
driveway,
spaces.
On parking.
Primrose and the high school. And that's-
Rich will shuttle you down.
There
Absolutely.
you go. You have a shuttle
I'm
bus.
24/7, baby.
There you
There
go.
you go.
And you're
25 cents a
car.
ride.
Just have to put up with the Yankee mailbox.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to authorize the town to contribute $5,000 for buses and band expenses for the Big Bang celebration.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, gentlemen.
Tom, if you remember the first year we were on the board, there was a movement to cancel all that because, remember, it was 2008.
Yep.
You know, and so there was this discussion. Some disagreed. You can't spend that money now when everything's going south.
We did.
And I'm glad the tradition did, because once you stop a tradition, it's really hard to start it
And it's
again.
great. Everybody loves it. I mean, it's good. And now people need it more than ever.
Yeah. I need it.
Yeah. Rick's gonna be lighting the match.
There you go. Yeah. Let's count down. 10.
Just like the Christmas tree light.
Okay, next item is highway. Request permission to go to bid for 2022 materials for highway department per memo dated July 27, 2021 from Nick DeVito, Superintendent of Highways. Certainly make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
So, I was with Superintendent DeVito the other day, and I have to say, we had gotten them, I think it was 5 iPads recently, and Nick was showing me how they use them, and it's great. I mean, every catch basin is identified. You know, you look at like Google Earth. You've probably seen it, Rick, I'm assuming, but you've seen the Google Earth, but you can, you know, create your work orders right from there, send it out to the appropriate person who sort of owns it and all that. So, you know, it's a really great system.
Yeah, it's a really good way to communicate also, because the guys don't have to come back to the shop. They're
Right.
told, hey, you gotta go back out to South Somers to do X, Y, or Z.
Much more efficient, yeah.
So, but he
Well,
was
that's-
showing that to me. It was pretty
Yeah,
interesting.
I'll tell you, Nick has been really pushed us forward technologically.
And we
Anyway.
want to congratulate Nick
Yes, we do.
for
Oh, yeah.
baby number 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby daughter number 4.
Girls,
4 girls.
4 girls.
God bless them.
That's why he's out on the road all the time.
Okay, so under personnel, current vacancies in affordable housing, partners in prevention. And let's see, number 3 is authorized probationary appointment, Miss Garrity as a part-time, Ann Garrity, the part-time assistant in the town clerk's office, not to exceed 17 hours per week at an hourly rate of $24.06 per memo dated July 26th from Kim DeLucia, Executive Assistant to the Supervisor. Authorize the promotion of Mr. Richard Savillo.
Actually, can you do them
Yeah, I was
separately?
just gonna say that, move that one sec. The next 2 you can do together. This one, next 3 you can do together.
Okay, I'll make a motion to authorize the probationary appointment of Ms.
Second.
Ann Garrity. Garrity.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay, I've got 1 aye.
Aye. Got 2 ayes.
Aye.
Abstain.
So moved. Okay. Authorize the promotion of Rich Savillo, part-time assistant building inspector to part-time chief fire inspector in the building department for a maximum of 17 hours a week.
Rick, can I ask a question on that one?
Yeah.
So,
No, let me just finish
yeah,
the,
sorry, go ahead.
per memo at 39.79 per hour, dated, and per memo from July 17th from Tom Tuma. Yes,
So he's now the fire inspector, but he's still assistant building inspector doing that job 95% of the time?
correct.
Okay.
So whatever, he's authorized to be the chief fire inspector, and this, we need this, he needs this appointment because he then sits on the fire prevention board,
Okay.
so he
I just
has-
wanted to make sure it didn't change, because the last fire inspector didn't have any building inspector duties.
But,
Correct.
but he's still gonna work a total of 17 hours or less, so we're not 17 on one and 17 on
No.
another.
Total.
Okay, as long as we got that
On the
right.
previous one,
Yeah,
it
for,
said
wasn't that from the
fire
fire
inspector,
inspector?
And
Yeah, no, I know.
which, so then we have to figure out, as he works hours, is that the same amount as his building department salary?
No, it's,
Or are they different?
so it's an extra duty,
Amounts.
it's an extra duty that he's gotta work in the 17 hours.
But it pays the same amount per hour?
No.
Because otherwise, then you gotta figure out which hours were spent on which job, right?
Well, no, but I think what we're saying is his job overall is going to be $39.79 an hour. What
Right.
Rich is saying is if his other job was $25 an hour,
That's-
does he have to say I did 15 hours
That's what I'm
of the
saying.
building inspector and 2 hours of the other one?
Yeah, you go talk to the finance director.
Well, I was
Make those hours
thinking
out.
of him. So how's he gonna do it?
Yeah, no.
Or
So
is that's just what he makes? I don't know.
That's going to be what he makes.
that's going to be his new hourly rate with this new assignment.
Okay.
Okay, and then authorize the promotion of Mr. Darwin Yanza from laborer to maintenance mechanic, equipment, grounds in the Parks and Rec Department at an annual salary of $49,809, grade 4A, step 1, in accordance with CSEA contract. Per memo dated July 29th from Steve Ralston, Superintendent of Parks and Recreation, effective August 6th. And then I can do the next one too. We'll authorize the reappointment of Mr. Robert Brower to the Somers Affordable Housing Board to a 2-year term ending July 11th, 2023. So I make a motion to move 4 through 6.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay, we have 2 planning and engineering reviews. These are both pools with patios. Basically, we don't have comment, but we'll refer them out to the appropriate boards.
No,
No, it's already with the planning board
they're being referred to you.
for our
That's,
comment.
okay, no comment.
No,
No comment.
Be safe in those
Get it
pools.
done.
Okay. And then our consensus agenda.
All 2 of them.
Yeah.
Going back to the consolidation of the water districts, aren't we supposed to be setting the public hearing for the amendment to the code to reflect the revised chapter?
Yeah, that's the other email you sent me. Okay, we need to add an item.
Okay. We can
to
do
set-
that.
Schedule a public hearing for September 9th?
9th would be our second meeting, or it would be our monthly meeting.
Okay, so this is 10.
September already.
Public
Second
hearing.
and
On water district consolidation?
Yeah, it's the amendment to the code chapter to reflect the consolidation. And Adam wanted some changes made.
Wait, you sent that email, was this week, last week?
Yeah,
Very
last
old blood.
last week, yeah.
They have to reverse the one that's there and. put
Yeah, the
new
one that's
in.
there is going to be rescinded
Rescinded.
in favor of the new
Code
one.
amendment. for
And
the
what
water
was that,
district.
the meeting date again?
September 9th, I think?
I got my calendar here.
September 9th, yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
No, I said I got my calendar, I was gonna look, but you said you already got it.
That require a motion?
Please.
I'll make a motion to set a public hearing for the water district consolidation amendment to the code for September 9th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay, so we have consensus 1 and 2. Any questions or concerns? If not, I'll make a motion to adopt consensus agenda items 1 and 2, A and B.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
You know, that we just had a thing there, G, police, no additional business, but it just brought to mind, just today, I was down in the park and someone was commenting to me so favorably on our new chief, who of course was on the front page of the local newspaper, a
Yeah.
nice article. And I think we all would agree he's an ideal person for that. It was just someone out who was the easiest guy to work with, great guy, you know. Hope he doesn't burn out. So this, Brian Linkletter, our
Yeah.
chief, off to a good start.
Yeah, I congratulate him on, yeah, I hear nothing but good things as well. And he's been put to the task already on a number of issues, so he's handled them very nicely. Okay, I think we might have some announcements.
Can I just mention one, next,
Yeah,
just, you may want to, next meeting, we got Cityscape here. We'd
okay,
like to get
yeah, we
everybody
can put that
in
on the agenda.
there. Yeah, and,
You want to do anything with that now?
that would be for next meeting, right? It will be on the agenda, but we want to mention to people
Okay.
that this is going to happen. I mean, you want me to do that now? Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So,
you can
next meeting, Cityscape is an outside contractor that's, doing the work to evaluate, it's a gap analysis of all the cell phone services in the town of Somers. They're doing this in conjunction with the other northern communities, so it's not only Somers, it's a view of North Salem, Yorktown, and going down as far
Ooh.
south as Bedford.
Yeah,
and
Lewisboro.
Lewisboro. And essentially, they're gonna be looking at population, topography, and existing infrastructure, and they're gonna come up with, a planning study about what this thing looks like today and what it could look like going forward. I guess we all know where the gaps are, because when we're driving on 35, our cell phones go out. But they're gonna present, the hows and whys of all that, and maybe have some solutions.
Right, I think they're kind of developing a master plan.
It's a
for-
master plan.
For the 5 communities. And really, it's built around 5G technology, right?
Right.
Because 5G, you're no longer going to see these cell towers. You're going to see smaller boxes, basically the size of refrigerators, spaced every 500 feet or so. And, municipalities, if you don't do anything, the utility is going to come in and say, okay, we're going to put them along here. This way we have a master plan. We may want our architectural review board to look at these boxes and say, hey, we want a few of these to look like English phone booths, or mailboxes,
Right.
or, whatever. So that's kind of where we're going, but we're going to hear from,
Yeah, and I think we're also gonna have to think about, how we adjust the ordinances. You want multiple communication companies to co-locate on these, on these infrastructures that
Right.
are theoretically gonna look
right,
in
so
a
they,
fashion that we would like them to look like.
right, I think- so the consultant Cityscape's going to give us a master plan, but the actual code writing, Roland,
Well, did you ever get the proposal from the Cone Law Group?
I got a communication from them. I don't know about that. I got a proposal,
Do you want me to follow up?
if you would.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because the next step, after you've heard from Cityscape, Bedford, North Salem, North Castle, and I'm not sure who else, all hired a firm from, I think they're in
Pittsburgh, yeah.
who are specialists in formulating codes so that you can regulate the small cell technology when it finally is presented to you.
yes,
Yeah, we should be in a position
It'll
to,
go in your zoning code,
right. I mean, we got time, but we need to do that.
yeah.
well, North Castle has already
Bedford's has theirs in place, and North Castle's close. North Salem is beginning in the process, and I thought he had sent you a proposal, but I'll follow up with him.
But I think, some of the benefits of this is going to also give us some, wherewithal to, advocate for our geography and our community to get infrastructure in here. You need to get private infrastructure to do this. You need Verizon, and you need Altice, and you need, providers to come in here and do this. So, and maybe even third-party providers. So,
Yeah.
that's part of
So,
it.
Roland, what is that firm's name?
The Cohen Law Group, Cohen.
Okay.
The principal's name is Dan Cohen.
Okay, I'll check to see if we did get that proposal. I do remember you making the communication, them contacting us, but I don't know that or I would have put it on an agenda.
Yeah.
And, I had the opportunity to represent you, Rick, and the town at the Public Service Commission's meeting over the last 2 weeks. They essentially
On
presented
what topic?
Telecommunications Task Force, and they talked both about Altice and a lot about Con Ed and how poor a job Con Ed had done in the last storm in their emergency preparedness. But for us, the Altice portion of it is breaking new ground because the telecommunications aspects of this never were subject to this type of regulation before. And so where I'm going with this is that they're creating a framework to regulate the telecommunications business. They're going to model it a lot after what's going on with the electric companies and utilities, and they're going to come back to us as the town and going to ask us for comment. And so we want everybody's participation in that. And so that's a great thing. I mean, we're like monopoly busters here.
Yeah, well, and we're going to have John Dulligan and whoever along with him from Altice present at the town board, probably either second meeting in September or maybe October. But
so what what I said at the meeting, I congratulate the Public Service Commission for doing some real groundbreaking historic work with the telecommunications business, and a large part of it is about communication, right? But at that level, they're talking about communicating with the public in a mass way, communicating with municipalities. But at the working level, we don't have the communication that we want. I mean, we need access to operations teams and be able to dispatch people on emergencies and so on. And that's where this meeting with Dulligan comes in.
Mm-hmm.
We just got to bring them to the table. And they may not be of the same mindset yet, but we're going to have to push.
I think that if anyone asks me, I'm sure they won't. But the future of that is it's either in 5G technology and all the cables are just going to become dinosaurs and outmoded, or you should do it the same way as electricity, so long as we have electricity through cables. And I think that Tesla, the actual guy, was about sending electricity through the air in some way that I didn't understand when he was a contemporary of Edison. But if the cables would be set and come into your house, presuming you still use that technology, the content of it, you wouldn't need, Verizon doesn't go where Cablevision is, Cablevision doesn't go where Comcast is, because they'd have to set new cable. So they don't do it. But that is the part that would be set, and then they could compete for the content that I get in my house, in our house, and for the internet that comes in and all that. And so they would compete. So you really deregulate it as long as there's a common system of delivering it. So the electricity wires, they have a franchise to run it, but the state can take away the franchise from Con Ed or anybody else. Never nice thing, but from Con Ed, but the wires stay there to your house. You just would be they could give a franchise to somebody else. That's how I see the future, or else it's all going to be 5G just through the air, which would make Tesla happy, I guess.
Yeah. Well, they do have microwaves.
Yeah.
That they shoot
Yeah.
They can shoot from building to building. I don't know that they want to throw those.
I don't know, yeah.
May
I
toast a
stay
lot
away
of
from
birds.
the microwave in my kitchen. I stay away from, so I don't know.
Right now, we're just fighting for reliable service.
Please.
Responsive infrastructure, repairs during storms.
No, and I thank you for representing the town at that.
Yes, thank you.
Public service and your work with the telecommunications.
Yeah, thank you.
They make the electricity companies look good.
Well, thank you, but, the task force and all the folks that were on it, including Bill, we're just doing it.
So I think, actually, I was talking to Tammy today about scheduling John Altice to come.
John
to a meeting.
John Altice.
Well, John from
Just John Altice.
Just shorten it up. Maybe we'll invite
Johnny
the
A.
telecommunications task force to that town board meeting,
Of course.
Good idea.
because they'll have a lot of questions.
Yeah, the brain trust is impressive.
Okay, so
on that group.
let's move to our announcements.
Did you want to do the first one, or would you?
Yes, I will do the first one.
I mean, I'm prepared to, if you want.
I know you are. You're always prepared. But this is this isn't in your jovial vein. This is a little more solemn.
I was going to do it on your behalf. Blaming you.
Okay, so we would like to extend our condolences and prayers to the family of Barbara Whitman, trustee of the Somers Historical Society, who recently passed away following a car accident. So, yeah, she was a valued trustee with the Historical Society, and rest in peace.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Okay, go ahead. You
Is that the
prepared?
second one?
Fun facts? Fun facts?
Not yet?
No, the second
He's
one,
gonna do the second one?
I'm gonna take the second
We're
one.
gonna go back to the old ways.
So
Everybody's
only because I've been to all of them so far. Somers, Saturdays in the Parks, the Somer Concert Series. It's presented by Somers Parks and Rec with the Somers Historical Society. They begin at 5 p.m. and are free. The first two were fantastic. I went to both. They were both up at Mount Zion Church. After the first one, we had a very large response to the second one because they opened the church to go in and you can look around. A lot of people lived in town here.
And that's an awesome church.
It's incredibly awesome. So those were the first two. The next one is this Saturday. It's Anthony Gack and Harmonic Aggression. It's a blues-infused rock band. This one is going to be in a different location. It's going to be at Reese Park Stage. I will be hosting, so to speak, because Grace Zimmerman is on vacation. So I hope everybody can make it. It looks like the weather's going to be beautiful, 84, 85 degrees. Perfect day to come over to Reese Park at 5 o'clock. Bring a blanket or some chairs and have a picnic lunch and listen to Anthony and Harmonic Aggression. We do them every 2 weeks, and the next two after this will be at Bailey Park. And be sure on August 21st, it's our hometown favorite, Sons of Hakalaya Bailey, along with Sean Kennedy. And then on the 28th, it'll be Trillium. But this week is at Reese Park, the only one that's at the Reese Park stage. August 7th starts at 5. And I look forward to seeing everybody there. Hopefully I have a nice turnout because it's going to be a beautiful day.
Okay, now we know why I took over the announcements.
Very good. Very good.
Zing!
Zing, that's
The
it.
Northern Westchester Water Works mandated water restriction notice, effective from July 12th to October 12th. This applies to Somers residents in the Amawak, Shenerack, Amawak Heights, Windsor Farm water districts. Those living in even number houses can water their lawns on even days, odd houses on odd days. Swimming pools can be filled on weekends. No water hosing to clean your street, your car, or anything else. Please conserve the water during this time. Okay.
So I just,
Go ahead.
one comment on the water restriction. So this just applies to these districts.
Just those districts.
We're talking about 1,200 customers.
Right.
So it's not a town-wide
No.
mandate. Okay.
Sorry. Northern Westchester Water Works. Okay, so now for my fun facts of the
Yes,
day.
I'm sorry.
Today's a very busy day, so I really couldn't narrow it down just to one or two.
Good.
But we'll start with the first one that Linda found this morning. American Bandstand went national on this day in 1957.
Out of Philadelphia.
Dick Clark was only 26 years old, and the teenagers were dancing to Jerry Lee Lewis, a whole lot of shaking going on to everyone's horror. They should be here now. Okay, so then we're gonna go to 1962. In 1962, August 5th of 1962, there were a lot of things happening. The best, Patrick Ewing was born. The saddest, Marilyn Monroe died.
Yes.
And
When was
even,
that?
actually
Kennedy
probably
was the
even
president.
sadder than that, it was the day Nelson Mandela was arrested and for illegally trying to leave South Africa and was imprisoned for 27 years.
Wow.
And then, my last but not least, in 1979, Pete Rose hit his record 2,427 career single in a 5-2 loss against the Pirates.
Wow.
Charlie
Those
Hustle.
were fun facts.
Rich, I left you Jesse Owens.
You want me to pass that?
I want to pass it because I know it's important. Fact of the day, not fun so far. The Yankees are losing 3-2. But on this day, also the first transatlantic cable was, which changed the world. Telegraph cable across the Atlantic. That was huge.
Wasn't run by Optima, was it?
It would never have been finished if they had done it. And in 1936, Jesse Owens won his third gold medal out of 4 in the Berlin Olympics, with a world record time at that point of 20.7 seconds.
USA.
Thank you.
I saved you, Jesse.
Yes, you did. Thank you. Undercutting the myth of Aryan supremacy, and that's why it was a big deal.
So, any further concerns, comments, issues?
Enjoy the rest of the summer, because it's going quick.
We'll see
I'll
you-
tell you, well, let's get a return to summer, these hazy
It's
days.
supposed to,
Yeah.
it looks like it's
Cool
gonna
nights.
start getting nice.
Yes, it does, it does. So I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Good night, Somers.
See you in
I want to
September.
make a